Here we are, Baker and Molasses at the movies at Cinebistro. Are we going places or are we going places?
Oh, yeah, we're here. We got like 8 empty couches.
And Oliver Twist.
I'm going to tell you something. If I ever become homeless, this is where I'm going to move in. Because there's a theater.
That's beautiful.
We'll work
leather couches.
We'll work for popcorn.
Or at least pleather.
Yeah, pleather. You know, they have some big screens. If they played classic films here, I'd be all set.
I know. So we're going to talk about Peanut Butter Falcon, which I'm seeing for the second time because I really want to enjoy the moments this time because I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that.
Make sure you come up with your own handshake.
I will.
Your own cool
I will.
handshake. And your wrestling, what would your wrestling name be?
How about Boom Boom Baker?
Boom Boom Baker. Boom Boom Baker.
Because you know I make a lot of noise.
Oh, yeah. You
just
walk softly and carry a big boom boom. Yes, I always think...
I know I gave you the ice molasses magnet, but I think it should be Magneto. It has more of a ring to it.
Magneto?
I should have put an O on the end.
Oh, it'd be more Italian
Magneto.
then.
I was trying to go with the cookies, you know.
Okay.
Ice molasses
I like
cookies.
it.
All right, so Peanut Butter Falcon, it has such beautiful moments, but it hasn't got anything at these major film festivals.
It has too much heart.
Yes.
It's too much heart for the cynical.
And I think I hear a truck backing up, beep, beep. It's going to get run right over by all the blockbusters.
Yeah, well, they don't like films that have the elites, and I won't even label which side of the aisle, but the elites like to say that they're for inclusionism in this. And here's a Down syndrome child who is gives you every reason to say to root for, you know, and I don't look at him as an underdog. He's more connected. He gets it more like a blind person can see things we can't see.
Right.
And that's what I think happens in films like this, is that you have somebody who shines the light on our blessings.
Right.
And it's the soft moments. And everything.
Remember you said to me, what makes a person famous? And I said, if you live, you are famous. And this boy is a tribute to that, right? Who cares if you have Down syndrome or what? You lived, and you should be able to have the best life you can have. And
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Gorgeous.
No, absolutely.
And I swear by Shia LaBeouf's performance is beautiful.
Oh my God,
I don't think anyone can just do that part. I don't.
No,
think.
he's absolutely.
You got to be wounded a little bit, which I think he is. I think you got to have that.
He's vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's hard to play that, and I really loved the girl, the daughter who's related to Tippi Hedren, and
she's amazing in it.
Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson, their little girl there.
Yeah.
She's she's gorgeous. Can I call her gorgeous?
She's gorgeous.
Okay.
You can.
Because I get in trouble with some of my film class. Do you have to call her beautiful? No, I don't, but I'm going to. It's everything has got to be through a barometer. First of all, I'm a writer, so I'm describing.
Right.
So I'm describing her. If she has one leg, do you have to say she has one leg? Well, she's a beautiful one-legged actress.
Well, what about the fact that the opposite take is more offensive than your take? You know what I'm saying? Yours is like an honest, beautiful statement, where people that are chastising you are almost the evil ones because they have it in their minds. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And the thing
it's sort
is,
of like that lady that spoke up the other night about one character in...
in Fellini's movie.
Yeah. I mean, how about the fact that...
I get tired.
Shouldn't interracial relationship be okay? So what's your problem? Like, I think they were sort of saying that. Like, yeah, this was another woman that he liked.
Well, I think the whole problem emanated, and we're talking about this on another subject.
I'm sorry,
but we were talking about like kind of the Me Too.
Right.
And in Fellini's film, and I brought this up, I said, now if you start going into, we're talking about museums, you start taking out statues, you're going to there's going to be a lot of empty places.
And mostly all artists will not have a museum.
No,
they're all.
Yeah, but
Picasso. I mean, you name it.
But Fellini is basically in that film, and I kind of had a disclosure. If people read between the lines, he was talking about the women in his life, and he was going through a laundry list of them, all of them, from mother to the perfect woman to the whore to whatever. And that's the problem that they have, is with that narrative. They don't want you to talk about things that you make them uncomfortable, whatever that is, as long as it fits in the box.
Right.
So even this person who's, I don't know what the right word is, Down syndrome, it used to say was retarded, if I can say that.
Right.
He has more soul than most people that I know that have 150, 200 IQ.
Right.
I don't want to be with those people.
No.
I'd rather hang out with this kid.
Exactly. He has a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why this movie works.
Right.
And it'll probably be ignored because...
it's a small film, and it's just going to get railroaded, I think.
Yeah, because they're cynical in Hollywood.
Because I keep listening to podcasts now that I've been to people have been to Telluride, and so all the big buzz is about the big names as usual, like Bale and Damon coming up in Ford versus Ferrari. That's big.
Yeah, and you know I'm a kid from Detroit, so I'm gonna put a little rank on them. I'll tell you if it's a good movie.
Okay.
I wrote about cars. I'm from Detroit. I know about Henry Ford.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna tell them if they nailed it. You know, it's like, well, I gotta like Mr. Rogers. I'm not anxious to see Mr. Rogers with Hanks. Now he can win me over because I'm a Hanks fan.
Right.
But once you do a documentary in that year,
right. But I've also heard that now that's supposedly labeled a supporting role, Hanks.
Oh, really?
It's really about the guy he helps, and I'm not sure what guy that is.
Oh, the black gentleman.
Yeah, but I've been listening to some stuff.
Oh,
about
really?
That. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
All right, but let's move on to something you saw.
I saw Edie. I loved it.
You loved it. Okay.
I had a class or a talk at Burns Court, and we had, you know, it was Monday. It's September in Sarasota, Florida. It's 900 degrees, and we're like beat down from the storms, and there's nobody in town. They're all in Pittsburgh, I guess. So this is a movie about a lady who's lived a life of regret and sadness, having done dutifully stood by her husband who had a stroke.
Right.
And he dies, so then she wants to get back to a promise she made her father to go climb this mountain.
Right.
And it's just a wonderful lesson, and I put that there's a metaphor that we all have a mountain in ourselves, whatever that is, to climb. We all have some mountain we haven't climbed.
Oh, yeah.
And so to me it was and I had an argument. I never get in an argument real big, like could have come to blows.
Right. Fisticuffs.
But the guy comes up to me during the film and says, "Oh, isn't she?" While we're watching the film.
No, during the film.
Yeah, and he's missing part of the film.
Oh no.
And he's saying that she's cantankerous and belongs in Dante's rim of evil. And I'm going. I waved him off. I said, "Please don't talk to me."
Please.
Then he was a pain in the backside.
Oh no.
He's like sitting second row, and he's like, "Oh, come on, this is cliched and blah blah."
What, you thought it was audience participation? What? That's unheard of.
Very good, very funny line. And he had his very cynical. It was very. But I handled it. And I said, "Well, what did you guys think?" He tried to make her like she was a victim, and then he was upset because she had written in a diary in this film that she took care of this husband and had regrets about it in her own personal diary, and her daughter found it.
Right.
And he crucified her for being, you know, he said he's sitting next to this woman. He says, "My wife, if she's taking care of me, you made her a hero." I go, "She stayed 30 years with the husband.
Yeah,
that's pretty heroic."
Hello, right.
Well, if my wife, and he made it all about. This is what people do. They read into plot points that aren't there.
Right.
And
they personalize
and
it.
so I said, "Well, you're going to rate the movie." I go 1 to 100 like I always do. I loved it. Most of the people were rolling their eyes at him, and I even rolled my eyes. And he called me on. He goes, "Oh, don't go rolling your eyes."
Oh no.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
All right, so
I loved it.
All right, good.
It's a small, but it's a gussy film. I love.
No, and I think it's.
I love small little films.
Demographics, because there aren't a lot of movies written for older people.
She's
Let's face
86.
facts. Yeah, like my grandma's 96. My grandma would probably appreciate it.
I love.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need movies for older people.
And women. You talk about women. You talk about role models and women.
Right.
She is a role model. She has a relationship with this gentleman who's 50 years her junior, who's like her kind of. Is like wants to help her with her dream, and he takes her under his wing, and she him, and it's a buddy picture in a strange kind of way.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So it's unusual, and I think people get cynical, and I think there's times for cynicism, which is comedy clubs,
right.
which is a good little segue for. I think you should be able to say any damn thing you want in a comedy club. It's like David Chappelle right now.
Right.
He's saying any damn thing.
You know what he said about our buddy, Louis C.K. He said after he had the horrible masturbation accident.
Yes.
The fall of his career.
Yes. That was
like it was a car accident.
Yes, it was like he was very funny, and the people have,
Yeah.
They've crucified him,
right.
persecuted him, and made him like he has killed people.
Right. All right, so you saw part of Luce, which
I did.
was
I
so
did. I saw the end of the
thought-provoking.
film. I thought the acting was sublime.
Oh, I wrestled with it when I
Naomi
first went
Watts.
in.
Yeah, I didn't see the first part.
Because I'm like, oh gosh, is this
And I
going to be
never
a soap
do that.
opera? But it was not. It was so well written, except for like a couple tiny parts of which were like, come on. But besides that,
No, I was won over by him.
So many moral questions
Yeah.
and moral dilemmas. It was like, do you search a kid's locker? Do you meddle in your kid's life? How far do you go? Like, did you see the scene? And I'm not going to spoil it, but did you see where Naomi follows him into that park? Her
Yes,
son?
and he sees her with the girl.
Right, and I mean...
Yeah, I did. That
is like a quandary. I mean, I thought... I can't say because I don't want to ruin it for people, but I thought that she was going to discover something else he was doing, and it was totally different. But it was still... I didn't know where it was going ever. It was like a roller coaster.
Hey, that wasn't a bad thing to discover. I'd rather have him do that than
no,
vaping.
That was like a relief.
Yes.
I was just shocked she stayed so long. But anyway, I mean, I thought it was a good movie. It was well written.
Yeah.
And it was based on a play.
Yes.
And this one podcast I listened to was championing it more than Peanut Butter Falcon as far as like, oh, I hope it wins some Oscars. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm still rooting for Peanut Butter Falcon. It's like the Tanya Harding of ice skaters, though. You know what I mean? It's like this little film that's sort of like
I love
small,
this film.
And I just want it to win.
Well, I don't think you can
something. I want to get the nominations.
Yeah, well, it should win. It should get a nomination.
But it sounds so early. That's the trouble.
Well, it's early, but the thing is good. So they have 10 slots to fill. Right. It's like you're a big proponent of Florida Project. How do you not nominate that?
I know.
How do you not nominate it and you have holes there to fill? You don't even have to. And this is like the thing. Don't like put Black Panther in there just because you want to fill a check mark next to African American films. There are 3 other films that you were nominating.
Yeah.
So now you're over the percentage of, to feel like if it's all by, we got to change the numbers.
Right.
That's what they're doing now, and that's what bothers me.
Right.
So if you look at and somebody said, well, I didn't like Florida Project. It made me uneasy. I go, so what?
That's
or I didn't
life.
like the protagonist in the film. I go, okay, Hannibal Lecter. I don't want to have him over for dinner.
Right.
Especially with fava beans or whatever.
Right.
But
look
what
at
a
all the
moving
evil characters that have won Oscars. I mean, it happens,
yeah, well,
right?
absolutely.
So.
Yeah, that's why I think Hanks is, and I don't. They're already pigeonholing people that are like favorites, and I'm going, how do you know?
No, yeah.
How do you know that with? It's all personal too, anyway.
Yeah. But I really am excited to see this movie again, and I love Bruce Stern. I heard a great interview with him the other day, and he told some great stories about how the guy that wrote Nebraska, what's his name, couldn't make it at first because they didn't want to do it in black and white. He was looking for support, and they're like, no, we're not doing this. So he made The Descendants, made a ton of money, went back and said, I'm making this now, and Bruce Stern was always in the role. Yeah. And he goes, that's what revived my career. He thanks that guy. What was
you're talking about Alexander Payne.
Thank you. Yes.
Alexander Payne's one of my favorite. He's a Greek boy too.
Oh, all right.
And he to me, he's one of my favorite directors. I put him right up there with David O. Russell.
Yeah. Sideways
but
was great, right?
Sideways one of my favorites.
Right,
and I love About Schmidt.
Right.
And I love Descendants too. And
speaking of Sideways, again, Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh.
He's in this movie, Peanut Butter Falcon too.
Redneck, what's his name?
Saltwater Redneck.
That's like a new Ben and Jerry's flavor, isn't it?
When he comes around that corner in that Trans Am or whatever, that is the best, right? I can't wait. I'm so excited.
That's it's a great scene.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing.
All right, well, I'm excited about, you've got The Great Dictator you're moderating this week, which of course is great, and I cried during that. The first time I ever saw it was late in life at the George Eastman House. I cried at that speech. It was amazing, the end.
Yeah, that was a thing. I've often said this, and people don't know this about Chaplin unless you read a lot about him, and I've read a lot about him. I met his son Sidney in Chaplin's in Palm Springs, and I talked to him about his father, naturally. While my uncle was there, was a restaurateur guy, and they were talking about the business. I could care less. I was like, in Chaplin's, I'm going to talk to Sidney about his father.
Exactly.
His father hated being poor. Obviously, he doesn't. And he was, it was Christmas. Charlie was born on Christmas Day, I think. No, excuse me, he died on Christmas Day. And he was always, people thought he got on the stage at such an early age with his mom dying.